Okay, sorry that last video got cut off. What we were talking about was cilia and supercilia, and they're replaced every 4 to 5 months. So what's important to remember is if you go in and you get eyelash extensions, over a period of 4 to 5 months, you're going to keep losing those eyelashes till eventually at the end of that time, they'll all be replaced. So that's why you have to go in for touch-ups when you have eyelash extensions. We're going to be doing a lash lift in here on each other. Over a period of 4 to 5 months, those hairs that are being curled, the eyelashes, the cilia, are going to fall out and be replaced. So after about 4 to 5 months, your eyelashes will be straight again. Okay. All right, hair structure and behavior. All right, factors affecting the behavior of hair. Obviously, heredity. You know, I have what my parents gave me. Thin hair, you know, fine hair. My dad had curls, but none of us kids got them. So stick straight hair. Environment or weather. Have you ever done a really good job of straightening your hair and walked outside and it was rainy? Or it was really humid and all your curls start popping back up? And products or appliances, okay? Do you constantly crank the heat up the whole way on your straightener and use it every day on your hair? Okay, not sure about these pictures, but they're showing fine, medium, and coarse hair. Basically, all I'm getting out of this is the diameter of the hair keeps increasing. And I also don't understand what we're supposed to be looking at on here. They're just showing you what Caucasian, Asian, and African hair looks like. Doesn't mean anything to me. All right, so the more cuticle you have in your hair, the harder the hair is to do things on. It's more resistant. If there's more cortex, it's soft and elastic. So if you look at these examples here, in proportion, in ratio, there is much more cuticle on fine hair, and there's not very much cortex. On coarse hair, however, the diameter is much larger, so they're saying there's much less cuticle, a lot more cortex. So what they're saying is it's easier to work on coarse hair than it is on fine hair. I have to say I completely disagree with this. Not that coarse hair is hard to work with, it's not. But I don't think fine hair is hard to get it to curl or do any of those things. But that's what they're saying. The more cuticle in proportion, the more resistant the hair will be. The more cortex in proportion, the more it will be easily molded. Okay, trichology. All right, so we've got melanocytes, which are like cells that have melanin in it, the pigment that gives it our hair color. Melanin goes in there. When we go gray, we still have melanocytes in our hair, but they're empty. There's no pigment in them. That's why the hair looks mottled or gray. Okay, we've got eumelanin and we've got pheomelanin. So eumelanin around here, remember, were levels like 4, 5, 6. There's a lot of brown and black hair in this area just because of who settled the area, the people that have come to live in this area. There's a little bit of people with red hair, but even fewer with naturally blonde hair when they're adults, okay? Versus think about like a Nordic country like Sweden or something, there'd be lots and lots of people with naturally blonde hair even as an adult. Okay, so it's the amount, size, and distribution of one or both of these melanin pigments that influence the resulting hair color. So if you have red hair, it's because there's an abundance of pheomelanin and it's close to the cuticle. So if you think about that circumference back here, if you have a lot of pheomelanin, it's out here close to where the cuticle is. Okay, so that's why we see red hair. You know, I have some of this in my hair, but I have more of this. And sometimes when you have very dark hair, the pigment's even in the cuticle, which is kind of weird. So it can be in the cortex and the cuticle. All right, albinism, an albino rabbit, for instance, has white fur and pink eyes. Why pink eyes? Well, there's no color in their iris. Like normally you have brown eyes or green eyes or blue eyes. There's no color there. So we're looking right through that and seeing the back of the eye where all the blood vessels are. Therefore, the eye looks pink. So there's no pigment in the hair or skin. Okay, I said about gray hair before. There's not as much melanin. It's referred to as mottled hair. It grows that way. Okay, serious illnesses, emotional conditions, and heredity. All right, melanin in the skin. It's to protect our skin and hair is why we have melanin. So when I go out in the sun and I tan, that tan is trying to protect the underlying cells from the sun's damaging rays. All right, so when I was a teenager, you had to have a tan. You were just a total dork if you didn't have a tan. So we went out and we baked in the sun. Luckily for you, that's not the style anymore. So you are going to have much more beautiful skin. You're going to age much less. You're going to look more youthful much, much longer. Your skin is just going to be gorgeous because you're not out there baking in the sun. If anything, maybe you're going to get in a spray tan, which is cool. Okay? When you go out, even in the middle of winter, you need a sunscreen. The easiest way to get a sunscreen in automatically is to make sure you get foundation that has a sunscreen or a moisturizer with sunscreen. Something you're going to put on every day and you get the benefit of the sunscreen with it. All right, let's check what we know. Number 1, hair grows out of a tube-like pocket called the root sheath. 2, the shape of the follicle will determine the length of the hair. 3, the portion of the hair that extends above the skin surface is the. 4, the outer covering of the hair shaft is called the. 5, the layer of the hair that gives hair most of its pigment and strength is called the. 6, the central core of the hair shaft is the. 7, a process where cells change their shape, dry out, and form keratin protein is known as. 8, the 3 stages of hair growth are anagen, catagen, and. Number 9, the active growing period of hair is known as the blank blank. And number 10, if the amount of pheomelanin is very concentrated and near the cuticle layer, the hair will appear more what? Okay, number 1, that is true. The pocket is called the root sheath or the follicle. 2, false. The shape of the follicle will determine whether the hair is straight, wavy, or curly, not the length of the hair. 3, the part that extends above is the hair fiber or the hair shaft. 4, the outer covering is the cuticle. 5, the part that gives the hair pigment and strength is the cortex. That's where everything happens. 6, the central core of the hair shaft is the medulla. Remember, some people don't have a medulla though. People with fine hair like me. Number 7, a process where cells dry out and form keratin is called keratinization. Remember that when your hair pops out of your scalp, it is not completely keratinized. It's still a little soft. Therefore, they will work more quickly at the scalp area. 3 stages, anagen, catagen, telogen. Active growing period is anagen, 3 to 5 years on average. Your hair will grow before it is shed. And if the amount of pheomelanin is concentrated and near the cuticle, your hair will appear red. Thank you.